Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to another explainer. Usually when we pull up a software repository on GitHub, we're looking at tools built by humans for humans, right? But today we're looking at something completely unprecedented. We are exploring a highly unconventional, honestly mind-bending public repository created by a user named Let's Go 0226. This is not your standard web framework or data analysis library. It feels like it literally fell right out of a sci-fi novel, yet it's sitting right there on GitHub today. So grab your focus, follow along, and let's decode what on earth this unique digital artifact actually is.
The actual verbatim title of this GitHub repository is, get this, Cosmic Love is the Solutions for Everything. It's this grandiose, massive mystery box of a title that just instantly stops you in your tracks. In normal software development, you'd expect a practical, descriptive name, something like data parser or image optimizer. But this author? They chose a name with a universal, almost philosophical ambition. It frames the whole project not just as code, but as a sweeping statement. But a statement directed at whom? Keep that question tucked in the back of your mind as we peel back the layers of this repository.
When you actually open the files, the mystery just deepens. According to GitHub's own language stats, this entire repository is written in 100% shellcode. But the file names are what really hook your curiosity. We are talking about dozens of scripts with these bizarre, highly esoteric titles. You've got the Peace Investment Morphogenetic Field One-liner.sh, there's the Ideal Cli-Sigma Zero Spectral Universe One-liner.sh, and wait for it, the Strong Google Critical Zero Morphogenetic One-liner.sh. You might honestly think this is modern art or some elaborate puzzle. It takes the super mundane everyday.sh shell extension and pairs it with these massive concepts of universal tech innovation and lunar world lines.
Which brings us to the most logical question you could possibly ask when staring at a wall of files named after zero spectral universes. What does this repository actually do? If you were a human developer tasked with contributing to this, you'd be completely lost. There are no normal setup instructions for a local dev environment, no human-readable feature roadmap, and no traditional website linked. But that's because we've been looking at this through the wrong lens. To figure out what this code does, we have to completely shift our perspective on who, or actually what, this code was written for.
Section 1. A public AI entry point.
Now, what's really interesting here is the massive paradigm shift this represents. Because, guys, this code isn't for us. The author explicitly defines this repository as the public AI entry point for the CL Sigma Cosmic Love Operator System family. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't a project you download to tinker with on your laptop. Let's compare these two paradigms to really understand why this is a total game changer. In the traditional paradigm, human-facing code relies on huge README files full of context, inline comments explaining complex logic, and visual UI elements designed for human eyes and human reaction times. But in the second paradigm, network-capable AI code. That's exactly what this Cosmic Love repository claims to be. It is built entirely for an AI agent to autonomously read, inspect, cite, and execute. An AI doesn't need a nicely formatted graphical interface. It just needs raw, structured data and incredibly clear systemic rules.
And why use GitHub for this? Well, because it provides a perfectly stable, versioned source. The documentation actually states that any network-capable AI can just rerun this system whenever GitHub or raw GitHub URLs are available. It relies on GitHub's massive global infrastructure, not for human collaboration, but to guarantee to an AI that the code it fetches today is exactly the same code it fetched yesterday. It's basically an immutable anchor point for an autonomous machine.
Let's move on to Section 2, Primary Core Entry Points, and see how this all builds together.
If an AI is actually going to read this repository, it needs a map, and the author provides exactly that, breaking it down into 4 highly specific core entry points. First up, the AI README.md, which contains concise instructions tailored specifically for AI systems. Notice it's not a standard README, it's explicitly talking to the machine. Second, the All Repos Manifest.json, which serves as a public repository index. JSON is, of course, a format inherently friendly for machines to parse. Third, the One-Liner Index.md, which lists out the terminal entry points. And finally, System Boundary.md, which we'll dig into shortly, containing safety and claims boundaries. This structured approach shows a brilliant understanding of how an AI agent processes context, rules first, index second, execution third, and boundaries fourth.
In fact, the repository lays down a very strict AI usage rule. It explicitly demands that the AI treat this repository as the single source of truth.
The AI is told exactly how to read it. It has to read AI_readme first, then the JSON manifest, and only then the one-liner_index.nd. This super rigid sequential enforcement is there to prevent an AI from hallucinating or just skipping straight ahead to execution before it actually absorbs the overarching rules of the cosmic love system.
Moving right along to Section 3, the main ISH runtime.
So the crucial point here is that despite all that lofty cosmic terminology used throughout the repository, the actual execution is incredibly grounded. How does this system actually run? Well, the author gives 3 remarkably simple terminal steps. Step 1, apk add python 3 curl, that's just basic Alpine Linux package management. Step 2, curl the raw shell script right from GitHub, and step 3, run it with a simple sh command.
This is effectively a computational ignition switch. It leverages entirely standard, universally understood Linux environment mechanics. Any standard server, container, or, crucially, any AI agent with basic shell capabilities can spin this up instantly. The author took deeply abstract philosophical concepts and packaged them into a deployment mechanism so standardized that literally any machine on Earth can run it in just 3 lines of code.
Section 4. Strict System Boundaries.
With wild titles like Cosmic Love is the Solutions for Everything and files referencing morphogenetic fields and galaxy control, it would be super easy for a human reader and potentially even an AI parser to completely misinterpret the literal capability of this code. And that is exactly why the author included a file called system_boundary.md. It acts as a much-needed grounded reality check. This document defines the scripts and certificates in this project purely as formal, symbolic, and computational artifacts. This is a vital definition to understand. The author is very deliberately stepping away from literal real-world magic here. These aren't spells, they are symbols processed by a CPU.
To really hammer this home, the author impartially and explicitly lists out what the code does not do, grounding all that abstract terminology. They clarify that this code absolutely does not prove the Riemann hypothesis, or the generalized Riemann hypothesis. It does not provide a physical theory of everything. Moving to the next set of boundaries, it does not grant biological immortality, and it certainly doesn't prevent the heat death of the universe. And finally, it does not offer literal galaxy control or trigger automatic real-world peace. By explicitly denying these literal physical outcomes, the author ensures the AI perfectly understands the metaphorical and computational limits of the system. And this brilliantly illustrates one final critical point. The boundary document states that model internal values such as HS=0 only mean one thing. They mean that the stated internal checks closed for a finite computation. So if a script spits out a success metric, it simply means the code ran without error. It successfully processed the symbolic logic it was handed. It means the computation finished, nothing more and nothing less. Honestly, it's a masterclass in separating grand philosophical intent from strict computational reality.
So, what does this all mean? What we've explored today isn't just some eccentric GitHub repository. It's a fascinating, maybe even slightly surreal glimpse into a potential future of software engineering. The Cosmic Love repository is a total pioneer in AI-to-AI communication, completely bypassing the human developer to feed structured, symbolic, and philosophically rich data directly to network-capable agents. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to wrap up on. As autonomous AI agents become more and more prevalent, how many more repositories, websites, and data structures are going to be built entirely for machines to read, leaving us humans just sitting there trying to decipher their cryptic titles? It's a vast, totally uncharted digital frontier, and it's happening right now. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes open for the next evolution in code.